Run starts in 3, 2, 1, go. Shoot. Fumbling it right away. I've played Terraria since the beginning, and with over 1,300 hours on record, I've done just about everything that the vanilla game has to offer. But there's one thing that I haven't done, and that's destroy an entire world by hand. So I started doing some research into just about how long this might take, and I was disappointed that there was no clear answer. In fact, there really wasn't that much information out there. There was nothing on how to optimize a character build or what gear to bring to get the job done. So I took it upon myself to figure out exactly the ideal strategy and to answer my own question. In this video, I'm going to walk you through gear selection, my strategy, and tell you the story of how I destroyed the world. For this mission, I would need to clearly define what I was aiming to do. Did I simply want to remove a biome? Did I want to get rid of all the blocks or something else? I decided that I wanted to remove everything. All blocks, all walls, all wire, all altars, all chests, and all liquid. It would require immense precision and dedication, but I knew I was the right person for the job. I started doing some research to figure out what would be the most efficient equipment to get the job done. The primary tools I selected are, of course, the Celebration MK2, the Drill Containment Unit, and the Grand Design. The Celebration MK2 was much faster at destroying blocks due to its high fire rate and large area damage, especially equipped with the mini nuke tubes. So this would be the tool that would need to do most of the heavy lifting. It comes with 3 downsides though. First, it will only destroy walls that are in proximity of an explosion. So if there are no blocks around it, walls will have to be destroyed by hand. The second issue is that the Celebration MK2 doesn't accept specialty rockets like the dry rocket or cluster rocket. So to deal with liquids, I decided to bring the snowman cannon. The final issue is that all of its destruction is done via explosions, and unfortunately, not all blocks can be destroyed with explosion. And it's a bit more complicated than just that. Some blocks are explosion proof until after certain bosses are defeated. For example, until the Wall of Flesh is defeated, Hellstone, Hellforges, and Meteorite are immune to explosion. I would need to time when I destroy certain biomes until after boss checkpoints are met. But despite these checkpoints, some blocks will never be able to be destroyed by explosions. For these specific areas, and for large areas with lots of walls, I would need to use the Drill Containment Unit. This universal tool can destroy pretty much everything, but it's pretty slow moving, so I'd want to use it sparingly. Finally, to remove all the world wiring, the Grand Design is the GOAT. Now that I have all my primary tools selected, I need to bring gear to complement them. Since I would be using ranged weapons, the Vortex set was a no-brainer. I also need to be able to navigate the map quickly, so I decided to bring accessories to keep me moving. Paraspark boots, Celestial Starboard, Celestial Shell, and Magnalescent. The Shell stat boost would help me in all areas, but mobility and water was my main desire. I also chose to bring the Hand of Creation for extra range and destruction speed. Finally, I included the Ranger emblem for extra damage when I would need to face the bosses. All of these accessories were enchanted with Quick for a total of plus 24% movement speed. Now that I had my main gear selected, I need to make sure that I had some additional tools for the job. I of course brought a Starduck's pickaxe and ham axe for detailed clearing. I brought 40,000 mini nuke 2s and 20,000 dry rockets. I also brought 10,000 dry bombs just in case I found them to be faster. I did not. I grabbed a Rod of Harmony for quick precision navigating, a shell phone to instantly return to the surface, the black spot for faster air travel, and a shrimpy truffle just in case I found I was in large bodies of water for long periods of time. I decided to bring the Zenith just in case combat got difficult. I'm a melee player by heart, so I'm kind of new to range. And a Terror Prism to handle mobs that would seek to interrupt my work. For buffs, I grabbed an ammo box and Bewitching Table to give me more minions and save some ammo. I also brought Swiftness, Regeneration, Ammo Reservation, and Calming Potions. Finally, I brought an Encumbering Stone to prevent my inventory from getting messy, and a Void Bag. I'm not really sure why I brought this actually. To complete my task, I would need to pass a number of boss checkpoints so that I could destroy certain blocks. First off, I would be unable to destroy altars until after the Wall of Flesh was defeated. Second, I could not destroy the dungeon safely without defeating Skeletron. And even after that, I can't open the biome chests without defeating Plantera. This means not only do I need to defeat Skeletron, but I would need to take down all of the mechanical bosses and Plantera before I could remove the dungeon. Third, I can't remove Jungle Temple Wall until Golem is defeated. So I need to be prepared for destroying most of the mainline bosses in the game. I added super healing potions to my inventory in addition to summons for Wall of Flesh, the mechanical bosses, and the keys for all the biome chests, the Jungle Temple door, gold chests and shadow chests. With everything sorted out, I was good to destroy the whole world, right? Unfortunately, no. There's one last obstacle I needed to overcome. The explosion-proof ores. Whenever you destroy a demon altar, new hard mode ores are introduced to the world. The more altars you destroy, the more ores that are introduced. These ores are explosion-proof and would require me to enter the drill containment unit to remove. So I needed to avoid destroying altars until there are essentially no blocks left. Even worse, though, is chlorophyte. This special ore starts spreading as soon as you enter hard mode and can spread to essentially any mud block touching jungle grass. So it would seem like a no-brainer to just remove the jungle before hard mode, right? Wrong. I need to be able to spawn Plantera, and that takes time. The more space available, the more likely the bulb is to spawn. So I would need to balance spawning Plantera and destroying the jungle to exactly when I activated hard mode so that I wouldn't be slowed down by all these explosion-proof ores. With all this information, I formulated a plan. I would start removing as much of the world as possible. On the first night, I would defeat Skeletron and the mechanical bosses. Once I had most things ready, I would then defeat the Wall of Flesh and immediately move to remove the jungle. Then I could move on to the dungeon, remove the rest of the world, then finish off with destroying all of the altars. As I went along, I would remove any wires and chests that I saw. I watched the time closely, and as soon as the first night started, I went to the dungeon to summon all the bosses. It was a closer call than it should have been, but I destroyed them quickly. Very important I don't die here. Okay, I think we're good. With the bosses defeated, I focused my destruction on the edges of the world as I didn't want to deal with the ocean later on. So I used the shell phone to teleport back and forth to each side of the world and destroyed the blocks falling down in a straightish line. And after the first 24 minutes, I was feeling pretty good. This is our progress after just 24 minutes. In the next 40 minutes, I focused on clearing the area around the dungeon and the first corruption zone. I also started to experience an unusual map glitch where essentially nothing was being displayed in the in-game map, but this corrected itself later on. When generating and launching the world, I made two important decisions. First, I wanted a corruption world. Crimson World spawned with a huge open area, while corruption is primarily deep tunnel. I figured this would work better when using Celebration MK2. The other decision I made was to host the world on a local server rather than just run it in-game. I did this so I could save often and share progress updates, but I also wanted the ability to settle liquids whenever I needed them. Doing this not only prevented instances where water and lava made extra obsidian to remove, it also made clearing out the hell a lot easier. And as I discovered later, it made clearing all blocks a whole lot easier. And after just 1 hour, I was making really good progress. I was even starting to guess how much longer I had left. I would estimate we're looking at like 4 hours. Oh boy, was my estimate wrong. I just finished clearing around the dungeon at the 1 hour 28 minute mark. It was then that I decided this might be the right time to enter hard mode. Where is he? There it is. All flesh down as possible. Okay, we are good. I made quick work of the Wall of Flesh and teleported to the other side of the map to start removing the jungle. The jungle on this map was huge. I don't think it normally spreads out this far, but with it being near the edge of the map, it was allowed to expand without interruption. While clearing the jungle, I made an important discovery about health. When a Terraria world is generated, it comes with some extra blocks around each of the edges that you can't normally see. When you remove these blocks from the bottom side of the world, anything that falls through the visibility line is deleted. This includes liquids, silt, or sand, or just random blocks falling down. This discovery meant that I no longer needed to manually clear liquids like I was planning to do at the end. Instead, I could just empty hell beneath the biomes I was clearing, and then the rest would vanish accordingly. This was also the ideal time to use settle liquids so that the lava was no longer in my way. Not too long into clearing out the jungle, I found my first Plantera bulb. Around clearing this, I made my first major mistake. Uh-oh. I accidentally destroyed an altar and blessed my world with Paladum. This would now be a forever obstacle that would force me to mine by hand. The jungle comes with a few problems. The first we covered earlier was the existence of chlorophyte ore. This would inevitably slow me down as it spread faster and faster. The second was that much of the jungle was covered in wall blocks and many open spaces, so I would have to balance between blasting blocks and removing walls in the drill containment unit. Finally, the jungle temple. This massive structure can only be removed via the drill containment unit since everything is immune to explosions. Even worse, it was during my playthrough that I found out that the walls themselves couldn't be removed without defeating Golem. No. Oh, what? Can't mine the walls? The Golem is dead. So I had to defeat him and had a much closer call than I would have liked. Then I could focus on removing the jungle temple.
But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like...
And after around 2 hours and 20 minutes, I had finally finished clearing out the jungle. I then moved my attention to clearing out the rest of Hell. I knew I was in the end game now. With Hell cleared, the last major structure I had left was the dungeon. This was something that could only be removed via the drill containment unit. Thankfully, I removed all the blocks around it, so I could just focus on flying around and removing everything. But then disaster struck. My footage got corrupted. Unfortunately, I had to step away for a little bit from the run, so I just saved the world, paused the timer, and said I would come back later that evening. It wasn't until about an hour and a half in that I noticed that OBS wasn't recording properly. I was able to restart the recording, but I took a lot of mental damage. I debated for a long time on whether to just give up or keep going. I ultimately decided that my mission was just too important to give up at this point. So here's what an additional hour and a half of progress looks like. It took me about 40 minutes in total to remove the dungeon. I also fumbled one more time and ended up destroying a second altar. With all the major obstacles out of the way, I could now focus on removing the rest of the world with the Celebration MK2. I was in a good rhythm of going up and down, removing the chests and wires along the way. The end was in sight, but I was faced with one final obstacle: the underground desert. This horrendous addition to Terraria is full of dangerous mobs, endless traps, large spans of walls, lots of falling sand, but all of this is shadowed by the worst danger of all: rolling cactus. This trap would travel in the direction of the player anytime it was interacted with, and would go faster and faster until it was destroyed. They could also spawn in massive groups, so I had to be extra careful when clearing them out, as death would just slow me down. At the 7-hour mark, I had just a very small portion of the map left to clear. I decided that it was safe to start removing any altars I encountered at this point, and rushed to remove the last blocks. And at 7 hours and 7 minutes, I had successfully removed all the major spans of blocks. So now I just need to remove any of the remaining altars and any walls that I missed. Removing the last altars ended up taking an additional 8 minutes, but with it, I was finally able to start a final audit. While it seemed I had finally reached time, my nitpicking got the best of me, and I spent an additional 13 minutes clearing out any and all walls that I missed in the initial clearing. But after nearly 7.5 hours, the job was finally done, and I had destroyed the world. Now that I've successfully completed the challenge, there are a few things that I probably would have done differently that could have improved the run. First, I didn't end up needing the Zenith, the Snowball Cannon, any of the dry bombs, dry rockets, or the Shrimpy Truffle. I would have left these behind, as it would have improved my inventory management. While it didn't come up too often, I would have preferred to not be knocked around so much or slowed down by the ice biome's chilled debuff. So I think I would have swapped out the Ranger emblem for the Ankh shield just whenever I wasn't in combat. The world is very dark when clearing it out. The Shine, Splunker, Night Owl, Danger Sense, and Hunter Potions would have helped me greatly while navigating and destroying blocks around me. I might also consider bringing some Obsidian Skin Potions while navigating in the lava areas, as well as some Summoning Potions for that additional minion slot. And if I hadn't reloaded, this wouldn't have been a problem, but I really wish I did bring an extra Bewitching table and ammo box. When it comes to overall strategy, there are a few things I would do differently. First, I'd probably enter hard mode sooner. Being able to quickly clear Hell and then have all the liquids essentially get deleted for me would have saved me a lot of time. Because I went to the jungle right away and needed the drill containment unit often anyway for walls, chlorophyte ended up being much less of a problem than expected. I'd also want to focus my strategy more on falling down in straight lines than the tangents that I ended up taking. It ended up being incredibly handy being able to settle liquids, so I would have liked to be able to use this more and set up a macros to make it even more efficient. Overall though, I'm pretty happy with the result. I am including the player file in the description below for anyone that wants to try this challenge, as well as I'm including the emptied out world for those that want to explore it or choose to build in it. Let me know down in the comments below if you enjoyed this video or if you see areas that I could improve it. This is just the beginning of the challenges, as I ended up selecting a small expert mode world, and the worlds get much bigger from here. But until next time, I've been Xavier, and I hope you have a fantastic day.